Thank you so much. It's just so good to see everybody, and I'm particularly delighted to see my mother, Dolores, who's here today. She's the block captain of her street. It's a thrill. The Peace Center has played such an important role in my own life and obviously in my imagination. I'm going to start with the story, the section that really was inspired by the Peace Center. So I'll be introducing you to two characters, Flor and Maritza. Vats of salsa are steaming at the Frontier restaurant, and I'm in line, eager to ladle the hot stuff onto my Western omelet when I hear his voice. Hey, Maritza. I see it's Adam Guest, a handsome blonde man who asked me out on a date one night, dinner here at the Frontier. ¿Cómo estás? Adam asks. Muy bien, gracias a Dios, I say, using the respectful answer where you give God the credit for having had the good luck to live another day. Now you have to understand, Adam doesn't speak a word of Spanish. No, I take that back. He speaks 6 words if we count charitably and add Hola Maritza to his repertoire, which is fine by me. I can afford to be generous. I've got a way with numbers. I keep the books for the Albuquerque Peace and Justice Center, and neither God nor luck has kept us in the black for 3 years in a row. I'm one of those endangered species, a person who loves writing grants. Rows of numbers look like wood columns to me, ramadas holding up the sky under which believers in justice and peace can dream their dreams and hammer out their strategies. Deadlines? There is nothing as exhilarating as an online application due at any moment. Nothing like staring at a computer screen as if through a windshield after a car wreck. I know how to resuscitate language, to describe the New Mexico no one wants to see, the birthplace and testing fields of the atomic bomb. Fiscal year by fiscal year, I've managed to convince funders that the land of enchantment is the belly of the beast, and what the Peace Center does has ramifications nationwide. Those funds in, Adam had asked me, hiking his eyebrows in wonder on what would be our first and last date. Easy, I use Chicana-style fundraising. How does that work? I pointed my hand in the shape of a pistol and aimed it at him. Stick 'em up. He smiled and blushed. I'd said the magic word, Chicana, daughter of the Mesoamerican Holocaust of 500 years ago. Survivor of America's theft of these lands starting some 150 years ago. Just the kind of woman who can provoke guilt in good white men like Adam. So what barrio did you grow up in? My family lived near the University of New Mexico Law School and the golf course. Dad taught at the law school. But that neighborhood must have been all white. Yeah, until we single-handedly integrated it. You must have encountered a lot of racism. Oh, the cops stopped Dad all the time and questioned him when he'd go out for a walk. Then he started carrying around a golf club. They mistook him for a golfer. But he shouldn't have had to do that. Yeah, well, it turns out he took up golf after he had a heart attack. Doctor's orders. I was lucky, I continued. My parents are middle class. I had a happy childhood. Adam put his fork down in a lake of salsa. He leaned back in the booth. I imagined the color draining from my face. Brown as I am, he was seeing white. But before the spell was broken, I managed to talk him into setting out chairs at the next People Before Profits film night at the Peace Center. Now a good friend, Adam waited with me while his food was being prepared. The number 92 appeared on a digital screen. There's my number, Adam says. I'd better get my food while it's hot. Say, Adam, you haven't seen Flor, have you? I saw her in the parking lot getting out of her truck. Good. I've been looking for her. Go enjoy your meal. Hasta luego. My food drowning in salsa. I make my way through the crowd into the middle room and grab a booth beneath a painting, one of dozens of John Wayne. No sign of Flor yet. Wearing her signature jeans, turtlenecks, and ostrich skin boots, she's hard to miss. She has hair that hangs below her waist. Her hair has such, I better get some water. Excuse me. Her hair has such a sheen to it that when she shakes her head, it looks like it's reflecting lightning. I swear the first time we made love, I could see myself reflected in that hair. It was like walking into a hall of mirrors, but instead of seeing your body as a series of distortions, you see only beauty. I'd never seen my body that way before. A lot of women, when around an attractive man, hold their stomachs in, however slightly. With Flor Hinojosa Shapiro, I exhale completely, maybe for the first time in my adult life. Preciosa, sorry I'm late, she says, slipping into the seat across from me. I went on a run and lost track of time. Her hair is tied back in a braid and pinned up. She's got sweats on and running shoes, size 6. When we're at home and she takes her shoes off, I can't imagine how those feet, so small, anchor her to the earth. Maybe they're not supposed to. She's Jewish. Her great-grandparents fled pogroms in Russia. Her grandparents fled Hitler's Germany for Cuba. Her parents ended up in Albuquerque. If you're one of the chosen people, God will part the Red Sea for you time and again. But you'd better be good at running, since you don't know how long the walls of water will hold. I'm going to have to get over to the prayer vigil. They need a Spanish speaker, Flor says. Univision wants an interview with me. Flor organizes weekly vigils for Stop the War Machine. You've got a long evening ahead of you. Here's an extra fork. Dig in. Just a few bites. Then I'm off to change into some decent clothes. My blazer and skirt are stashed at the Peace Center. I touch my lips, then her cheekbones, coating them lightly with red lipstick. There you are, camera ready. You look great. No matter what Flor is wearing, she manages to look good. Put her in front of a camera and she looks even better. She's like a plant. Keep her away from the light for too long and she wilts. In front of the blazing lights of television cameras, her face blossoms as she cites statistics about the numbers of soldiers and civilians dead in Iraq and Afghanistan. Her dimpled olive face in all its glory, filling the entire screen. Good news, she says. The Archbishop, a rabbi, and an imam have all confirmed that they will join us next week and make statements to the press. It's been a great day. She would never admit this, but every day has been a great day for her, thanks to George W. Bush. Her anti-war work has been good for her. She went from taking 50 milligrams of an antidepressant before Bush invaded Baghdad to 25 milligrams right after the invasion, when she got involved with the vigils. She halved her pill again and again until she crossed over into that mysterious mathematical zone of infinite divisions invisible to the eye. In the midst of all this death, Flor got her life force back. Come with me to the vigil, she says, scooping eggs into her tortilla. Thanks, but you go do your thing. I'll wait for you at home. It's been a long day. And you want nothing more, she says with a grin, than to climb into bed with your stash of porn. Okay, I confess. Instead of holding a sign, I'd rather read my Ladies' Home Journal and Good Housekeeping. Whatever floats your boat, honey. When you read of a new use for apple cider vinegar and baking soda, you get a look of peace that passeth all understanding. She says, paraphrasing scripture, at least my understanding. She playfully taps my leg with her foot beneath the table. Hey, I'll bet you don't know that to untangle a fine jewelry chain, rubbing it with oil first does the trick, or that the intrepid vacuum cleaner we were thinking of buying has been recalled. It's been discovered that its rotors are locking and overheating, creating a fire hazard. Almost every day while listening to NPR on KUNM, I clip and glue these kinds of tips and warnings onto index cards, then file them carefully by topic. Even my buddy, Ruben, who got me a subscription to Good Housekeeping for my birthday, likes to rib me about my reading habits. What happened to the good old days, he teases, when you majored in women's studies and called me up to read passages from When God Was a Woman? What he, and maybe even Flor, don't understand is that more than ever, I believe God is a woman. She is Demeter, Tonantzin, grain goddesses both, archetypes of plenty and the well-tended home, the opposite of the Iraq I hear about on the radio, where bombed houses beyond repair look like shadowy skulls. Come on, I tell Flor, let me walk you to the parking lot. No need, love. Stay here and finish your meal. I'll see you tonight after the vigil. Shock, ah, here, kitty kitty. Two cats with paws that look like cotton balls swarm around my ankle as I unlock the door to the adobe house I share with Flor. The cats' real names are Scratch and Sniff, but Flor changed them after Bush spoke of shock and awe to describe his method of bombing. The cats will get their real names back after the war is over, Flor told me back when we began dating. In the meantime, she said, they're constant reminders of what we're up against. I still can't imagine why Flor would need more reminders than she already has. 3 television sets, one in the living room, one beside the kitchen sink, and another in the bedroom, all tuned into news stations, the sound muted. Like much of the rest of the world, she had the news on 24/7 when the Twin Towers fell on 9/11. I've never bothered to turn the news off, she explained. Might as well keep it on. Something else might happen. After feeding the cats, I get my pajamas on and slippers, then put on some water for tea. The long wood counter dividing kitchen from living room is piled high with Flor's manila folders, all filled with information for her dissertation. She's writing about the sanctuary movement of the 1980s, when U.S. citizens clandestinely aided refugees who'd fled U.S.-backed dictatorships in Central America. Funny the way Flor claims she's not religious or even spiritual. I've never met anyone so preoccupied by questions of good and evil. She's the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor. The question that haunted her grandmother and her parents was how so many Germans could look the other way, as Jews were taken off to the death camps. Flor's question is what makes some people not look the other way, as in the case of the sanctuary movement, and instead conspire against their government with the intent to save lives. Steam swirls upward as I lift the slow cooker lid to spread the aroma of Cuban-style black beans throughout the house. The beans have been cooking all day with onions, bell peppers, tomatoes, cumin, garlic, and more. It smells divine. Next to the slow cooker is the coffee maker, its red light still on from this morning. Clicking it off, I remember with a smile the night Flor had me over for the first time. I sat down on her couch while she loaded up her grandmother's silver antique tray with flan, Cuban rum, and 2 mugs of coffee. I took long sips of the coffee. Alcohol has never lessened my inhibitions, but caffeine is another story. Halfway into a cup and my blood runs hot. My temples began to throb as I took in Flor's hazel eyes. Then she looked boldly at my chest. Great t-shirt, she remarked. We're making enemies faster than we can kill them. Her hand slid slowly toward mine. I was about to touch it when she said, I hope the coffee is okay. It's decaf. I can't drink caffeine at night and sleep. Seduction by placebo, I thought, disbelieving. I panicked, but the feeling dissipated as Flor reached for my face, drew me close, and kissed me. After a while, we moved to her bedroom. For the first time in my life, I made love with a woman, Flor, a beautiful flower, stretched out beside me in bed. The next day, I called Ruben and asked him how I should break the news to my father. Just tell it like it is, he advised. It's not like you just up and decided to become a lesbian. There's a war on. Flor chairs the vigil committee at the Peace Center. You keep the place solvent. She starts asking you out. I forgot Ruben's script when I stopped by my father's house. Dad, do you have a minute? He was on the couch reading the New York Times. I have 10 minutes, remember? Then I go get the results of my biopsy, prostate. I have something to tell you. I hope you won't be upset. I'm pondering my mortality. It concentrates the mind, as they say. I'm dating a lesbian, Dad. He carefully dog-eared the editorial page before setting the paper down beside him. He ran his fingers through his non-existent hair. Doesn't that make you one? A lesbian? His brows furrowed. Well, he glanced at his watch. Does she come from good family? Buena gente? In our culture, that's what matters. Don't ever forget it. Her parents are professors. They're Cuban. Do they see through George Bush's dirty tricks? Yes. Well, you could do worse. So you're not upset? Mijita, all I know is that I want mariachis to perform at my funeral. Dad still calls me Mijita, my little girl. Tears start streaming down my face. I still have to tell Mom. Dad handed me $5. Here, go treat yourself to one of those fancy coffees at Winning. I'll tell your Mom. The phone rings as I pour hot water over chamomile buds, remembering Dad's elation when he told me the doctors gave him a clean bill of health. It's Flor calling to let me know she's on her way. Soon I hear her truck tires crunching on the gravel as she drives up to the house. Amor, will you give me a hand? She asks as she steps inside the house. I need help carrying something in. What is it? A surprise, an early Christmas gift for both of us to enjoy. I rub my hands together. Sounds like we're in for some fun. I've told Flor for some time that I want a record player for Christmas. My old one gave out, but I've saved all my vinyl records. What I miss most are my albums of mariachi music that Dad gave me over the years for my birthday. We go out to the truck. Between the two of us, we manage to carry a bulky box into the house and set it on the couch. Here, love, you open it, Flor says, handing me a pair of scissors. I slit the box and tear off the panels of cardboard. Merry Christmas, Flor hollers. It's a television set. The screen is black and shiny as polished granite. It makes me think of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. The TV in the bedroom is about to give out. Last night while you were gone, I was watching a program about soldier suicides, and the screen went static for 10 minutes. Flor runs her hand over the top of the television set. She smiles, her face glowing. I half expect her to break into song. She pulls the instruction booklet from the cardboard. She turns the pages reverently. I can hardly believe what I'm seeing. I'm sure it was a very informative program, Flor. Now give me a hand. We're putting this thing back in the truck, and either you or I will return it to the store tomorrow. What? I'm tired of you having to watch the news before we make love. Not only that, but I can't stand the way the TV light flickers when we do make love. I feel like a cop car with its lights on is pulling up behind me. When Flor finally finds her voice, she booms. And you don't think I'm tired of this damn war? You know that I agreed to monitor local and national news for Stop the War Machine. You've known this since we first started dating. But 24 hours a day? We can watch the news in the living room like civilized people. I'm sorry, but we don't need a TV in the bedroom. You don't get it, do you, Maritza? I keep the news station on because something might happen. I know. I've heard that a million times from you. But you know what, Flor? We've been together now for God knows how long. And guess what? Almost nothing happens. The rich slaughter the weak, then lie about it. That's it. Flor's crying now. Rivulets of mascara are running down her rouged, camera-ready face. This is no longer the dimpled face that fills the TV screen. It's an old and tired and sad face. It's her grandmother's face, the grandmother who survived the Holocaust, the woman whose picture hangs in our bedroom, a woman who knows all too well that things do happen, unthinkable things that happen with so little warning, not even God can react in time to save his people. I try to put my arms around Flor, but she turns away and grabs the keys to her truck. Behind her, the living room screen lights up. Univision is doing a special report on Baghdad, using footage of the U.S. invasion. The light from the bombing is as bright as a bonfire. Flames lick the screen. I half expect them to leap out of the television set. Normally, Flor would be on the couch, riveted by the scenes of destruction, her worst fears about humankind confirmed. She drops the key, grabs the remote from the coffee table, and points it at the TV. Let's just turn this off for good, she says. But I snatch the device from her hand. Suddenly, Univision cuts to the vigil. I turn the sound on. There's Flor in front of a large gathering of people, their faces awash in candlelight. In flawless Spanish, she explains that representatives of a dozen organizations are present to bear witness to the madness of war and to demand a withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Iraq. I feel like I'm seeing a woman entirely different from the one who stands beside me. The one haloed in camera light believes, if only for a moment, that if enough people tire of war and destruction, the world might not go up in flames after all. I reach for Flor's hand. We sit down on the couch. She stares at her image. She's like a child who is seeing herself for the first time in a mirror. She turns to me, her eyes now pleading. I'm doing everything in my power to change the story, she says, waving at the TV screen, filled again with scenes of bombing, to make the ending come out different. She cries some more. I know, honey, I know, I say, wiping away my own tears. That's why I'm here for you. I want a different ending, too. The next day, after Flor leaves for the university library, I manage to get the new television set into the bedroom. I stare at the blank screen for a long time, then turn the set on. To my surprise, Univision is rerunning footage from last night's vigil. The phone number for the Peace Center is running at the bottom of the screen. I don't know how the story will end, but no matter what, I have to keep my vow to Flor. I go to the bathroom to wash my face and put on my makeup so that I can get to work. Thank you. This is a very brief story about Corey, one of my 5 activists. What the heart says. You wake up one morning to discover that you can roll your R's. You say your name, Socorro, Socorro, as you gaze in the mirror like a girl testing her mother's lipstick on the sly. You open the curtain to let in more light, then glance around the room. Towels, toallas, bathtub, bañero, window, ventana. 2 by 2, the words come at you, creatures paired miraculously, as in Noah's Ark. Soap, jabón, shower, ducha, mirror, espejo. Gracias a Dios, you whisper. Thanks be to God. But come to think of it, God has nothing to do with this gift of tongues. Enough bitching about not speaking Spanish, Corey says. Enough bitching about not speaking Spanish, Corey, says your husband Peter, an Anglo fluent in 4 languages. He sits down at the computer. I'm going online. A day later, a package arrives. Flashcards for Latinos who grew up hearing the language but not speaking it. The tongue-tied who ace classes but can't ask for directions to the nearest laundromat. The guilt-ridden for whom Spanish is a pre-existing condition that flares up when ordering food at a Mexican restaurant, then recedes when the margaritas wear off. For a week, the package sits unopened in its brown wrapping on the piano. You look at it, embarrassed, as if it were a sex toy. Come on, open it, says Peter. Stop telling me how to run my life, you answer, heading to the backyard hammock to watch the sunset. Why did I marry that man, you wonder, flicking a mosquito off your wrist? What did I see in him the night he stood up at the Quaker Meeting House to debut his film about union activists in Oaxaca? Peter, with his goofy ponytail barely rooted to his balding head, sporting a Guatemalan peasant shirt and $125 sandals made of recycled tires. Still, you had to admit the film was brilliant and, thankfully for you, it had English subtitles. And ever since then, you have felt like Peter's English subtitle. After the sun sets behind the West Mesa, you return to the house. Peter has left a note saying he's at a meeting. You stare at the flashcard package. This is no way to live, you say, box cutter in hand. You slit the box open. You spread the cards on the kitchen table, as if to read the tarot, terrified of false promises of fluency. A statue of St. Anthony, finder of all that is lost, looks on as you read each word, then flip the card over. Stars, estrellas, flames, llamas, stones, piedras. The hours pass. You stretch out on the couch and doze. You dream of summers with your bilingual grandma, how English went in one ear, Spanish in the other, mellowing inside you, a beautiful mole of sound. You wake up and return to your game of linguistic solitaire. At midnight, Peter comes home and smells the burnt black beans you'd left simmering. You're asleep at the table, your head cradled in your arms. Saying nothing, Peter makes you an omelet. Gently, he shrugs you awake and hands you a fork. Next to St. Anthony, he sets up a small TV he's rescued from the garage so that you can watch telenovelas or hear the rosary recited in Spanish on the Catholic station. He kisses you on the head, then leaves for Brazil. Night, la noche, turns into day, el día. Summer, el verano, turns into fall, el otoño. The kitchen table, meanwhile, becomes a country all its own, with Spanish language newspapers from around the world, grammar books your friend Maritza brought you, and CDs of Cuban music with printed lyrics that Flor dropped off. Lupe drills you on common mistakes new Spanish speakers make, so that you will not say you are embarazada, pregnant, when you mean to say you are embarrassed. Things begin to happen. When you go for your mammogram, a nurse runs out to the lobby, asking if anyone speaks Spanish. You follow her to a small office. A Mexican woman has misunderstood the doctor's words. She thinks she has cancer. You take the chart from the nurse, sit beside the woman, and hold her hand. You deliver the happy news. Soon the two of you are glorying in the mysteries of benign cysts and calcium deposits that cloud up an X-ray like the Milky Way. Socorro, succor, assistance in times of distress, you think, peaceful as your own breasts are being crushed between the metal hands of the mammogram machine. One day, Peter returns from Brazil. It's over, you say. What do you mean? I've had it up to here, teaching Spanish at a prep school. I've decided to volunteer at Enlace Comunitario. They need some English as a second language teachers. It's your turn to get a day job, Peter. It's my turn to live my dream. I'll look at the classifieds tonight. Geez, I thought you were about to ask for a divorce. Don't exhale just yet. What? Today, no Corey for short. Just this day, I want to hear you call me Socorro. All my life Peter draws you into your arms. Corey, that dry shrub of a name, floats away as Peter, with a kiss, draws out the succulence of the name you had almost lost. After making love, you walk with him around the corner to El Bandido. As always, you order water, agua por favor, but this time without ice, sin hielo. Before you had only enough words to get halfway across a situation, like a car stuck on the railroad tracks. You are unable to cry help in any language that might save you. A steaming platter of shrimp arrives at the table with tortillas de maíz, frijoles de olla, and pico de gallo. Across from you on the wall hangs an Aztec calendar. Here's to my other ancestors. We'll study their language, Nahuatl, together, you say, the lip of your wine glass touching Peter's. At last you have discovered the opening in the fence that divides Mexico from the United States, kin from kin, era from era. Tlen titlatoa moyolo. What does your heart say? Your ancestors ask. The opening was there all along, at the tip of your tongue. With the letter from Lupe. Lupe is a Mexican immigrant, pregnant. She's named her child Destiny, and she is starting to write letters to her. So this is the first letter. My dearest Destiny, what a strange thing it is to take on this letter, seeing as how my waters have yet to part, that you might cross into our humble promised land of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Warnings first. I am terrible at talking on paper. Out loud, I am good, for the life of the poor foreigner depends upon speech. In this land, one must explain, explain, explain to doctors, bank tellers, and bosses, lest they inject you with the wrong medicine, or count your money out wrongly, or order extra work for no extra pay. I have learned to line up my words as in a Scrabble game, that I might score high and emerge alive. So it shall be for you, who are already ahead of the game. Nowadays, all the experts say that prenatal readings make for Ivy League-bound babies. So nightly I grit my teeth and read to you from the best-selling Harry Potter book. I can only hope to God that my womb is equipped with good speakers, that my efforts to smarten you up come to something. I am no fan of Harry Potter, preferring to read murder mysteries before nightly prayers. Oh well, when the doctor yanks you into the light of day and slaps you on the behind, may you cry out, Harry, Harry. Let me say that writing to you is not my bright idea. I do so under orders from my dearest friends, Maritza, Flor, Corey, and Peter. Posterity, posterity. I learned this word in their hounding me to do this. I considered and prayed. And it came to me that one day I will be sitting in my lawn chair on the porch with a weak mind and not much going on but swatting flies and cracking walnuts with the friends listed above. I might forget my own story. So it is that I am writing you this letter with more to come, si Dios quiere. I have decided to say yes to posterity. Love, your mama, Guadalupe Gabriela Anaya, block captain of Sunflower Street, Southeast. Thank you. Thank you.